How do you think you improved as a painter?
How I react to things going wrong while I'm painting has been the big improvement.
You said you wanted to paint a unit of Blood Angels every single month.
I have learnt my lesson.
Goals should be flexible, and if things aren't, you shouldn't stick to something just because you set a goal to do it.
And it can kind of be a trap as well.
It's not the best way to progress sometimes, because once the goal is achieved, the progression stops.
As distanced as you can get from what you regularly do is where you will learn the most. Hello everyone and welcome to Paint Perspective, episode 83, first one for 2025. In this episode, we're going to talk about our hobby goals for the year. We're going to be introducing our monthly painting challenges for the year as well. Of course, we'll be doing our hobby hacks. But first, it's Monday. What's happening here?
I know, yeah. Surprise. Well, not surprise. We spoke about it on the last episode, didn't we? But we will be uploading on Mondays now. That's a choice that we've made. We've done Fridays originally, then we moved to Thursdays. Now we're on Mondays, so it's like the Infinity Stones. We're like
collecting them all,
collecting them as the years go on.
You're not getting a golden ball.
Yeah, it's Monday, isn't it? It's podcast day. Everyone, that's when you want your new podcast. Is Monday, so We're doing Mondays now.
So you got the whole week to watch it with no excuses, basically.
Yeah. Not that. Well, we're not changing the dynamics of how long a week is. We're still uploading weekly. You still had a week to listen to it last time, even when we were uploading on Thursdays. But
it's a start, isn't it? It's the start of the week.
It's just, for me, I wake up on a Monday, I'm like, right, what's my new podcast?
Paint Perspective.
You know what I mean? So if you're on the audio, obviously you'll get it in the morning. If you're waiting for the video, you'll have it around lunchtime. Our time, obviously, in the UK.
We have the pop-up, obviously, in the intro, but we've never actually mentioned it. Like, this podcast is on every podcast.
Yeah, this is a podcast.
It's a podcast.
So you can get us on any of the apps, and you get it earlier. We upload in the morning for the audio. So,
listen while you're driving to work on Monday morning. That'll pep you up, won't it?
Yeah, I think what you should do is listen to it on your way into work on Monday, and then later on in the week, you can watch it on YouTube while you're hobbying to refresh any of the amazing tips that we've given you.
I agree.
Cut to some pure waffle that we've said in the last year. So it's Mondays now, basically.
Yeah. I agree. You get up in the morning, get ready, you put some clothes on, and what you can put on is a fantastic new hoodie, which you're sporting, aren't you, George?
Oh, going back to the hoodie. You can still pre-order that now. Full details on the last episode, really, isn't it?
Yeah. It's exciting. It's our first, we've obviously got the Siege merch, which is sick.
Yeah.
But this is the pod merch.
Yeah.
This is for the pod fan.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the first one. So it's like, get in early. When we're doing those, when we're pulling millions of views in a couple of years, you'll be like, I got the first one.
First one, yeah.
And I mean, we spoke about it last week, so full details if you want to see more. But it's obviously inspired by metal bands. We've all spoken about our love for music and whatnot.
Yeah, we've been in those kind of bands, and we've dealt with that sort of design before. We talk about it a lot, so it only makes sense.
I mean, I'm not over the moon. I mentioned it in the last episode, but having a metal merch design for the podcast done by one of my favourite frontmen from band that I loved when I was in bands and touring, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's cool that there's a story like that behind the merch as well. You don't really get that often, do you? It's just normally here's a cool design. That's it. Enjoy it.
Yep. No, like it. It's nice when you get to design merch you actually want to wear.
Yeah.
I was like, we got the samples in. We was like, this is sick. Put it on.
Can I just take it home now?
Before we get into the main topic, which is obviously what we want to do this year, is anyone finishing up any loose ends from 24 hobby project wise?
Yeah, I am basically
not like James to have loose ends.
I mean, there's plenty of loose ends.
That was my whole plan over Christmas. Was just there's a few projects that are nearly done.
Just need some tying up.
That just need wrapping up, so I can just go into the new year fresh.
Yeah.
The only loose end that I've got to sort of like I want to get finished is
The only.
Just
one.
it's just one.
Just
one is the Terminator Night Lord for Psy from CS. It's the last.
I forgot about that.
It's the last thing.
Is that not done?
No,
Forgot
it's
that
not.
existed.
There's being honest, there's some changes that I made on it. I've been obviously having a lot of back and forth with Sai about it, and and obviously there's been lots of stuff ongoing as well. So I've had a couple of moments where I've had to pause on it and stuff. But there's a few little bits and bobs that I just personally wasn't happy with, and I wanted to change it and make it sure. It's obviously it's a gift for Sai, so I want it to be like the best I can do for him, basically. So yeah. So there's a few little niggles on there that I just want to sort out. I don't know why I went like that. so
See,
yeah,
that's the sort of content where you do benefit from watching on YouTube.
Yeah,
For the visual.
when I go like that.
Yeah. I have the small loose end of fully painting my army.
I mean, that's only a little thing.
But there's
Small
been
loose end.
I'm not doing Imperialis.
Do you know what though? If we're going by the rules and stuff and how vague rules have been for other challenges, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You could technically rock up with an Imperialis army.
And be like, it's an army.
It's an army.
I've got an army.
You could.
Three colours.
100%.
Yeah, no.
I'd have so much respect for you if you did that. Do you remember when that came
Fully
out? We was
painted.
like, Games Workshop shrunk James's Blood Angels.
Yeah,
army.
yeah. I just did a
please do
Dark
that.
Angels
But
army
can you
like
do it like Stone-faced dead serious? Like you just drop them on the desk in like the tiny
Yeah, I'll be
little-
like, here's my army.
yeah.
It's very tempting. But I feel like you're just trying to distract me from the real army. That's why you're planting that in my, in my
But the
head.
thing is, you'll probably get the full 40k army and the Imperialis
in the time
in the
it
time.
takes George.
I think you'll-
I think for me, I have
Just slip that in there. Cheers for that.
I don't really have loose ends because I don't have much else that I care about at the moment than getting the army done, and I kind of on purpose haven't spent much time doing anything else.
It's got loose beginnings.
I've got loose beginnings. Yeah, so I haven't really been focusing on any little projects for there to be any unfinished little projects, I guess.
You kind of got one overarching project
Yeah.
rather than 37.
I'll tell you what,
It's not far enough along to be considered a loose end yet.
It's
I don't
very
think.
on brand that Joe is keeping it secret when he's doing a Dark Angel Force. That's all I'm going to say. So it's very on brand.
Yeah.
But I do have another loose end, which a slightly bigger niggle that I just need to sort, which is I've stripped every single Mordian model that I have other than the ones that are painted. Okay. As in all the...
I love the... Hang on. You can't just
No,
sit
I'm
there.
gonna-
You
I'm gonna-
painted one model.
No, I've painted...
Other than all of
Excuse
the
me,
model that's
excuse me.
painted.
He sprayed some like loads
Excuse
of
me.
tanks. And
Excuse
stuff.
me. I've got way more than one model. I have the Lord Commissar that's painted as a commander for my Mordians. I've got loads of Mordian tanks that have got all the main colour on.
Loads.
I've got...
There was loads,
There
to
was
be fair.
loads. Yeah.
Painted?
That have got the main Mordian colour on them.
Oh,
yes.
the main colour. Right, yeah.
I've
Base
got
coat.
I've got
Yeah.
60,
Sprayed,
60,
I think they call that.
60 infantry that are all enchanted blue. So I've got the main colour on them. So I've got I'd say collectively.
To be fair, yeah, when you had your models in that state, you were kind of passing that off as like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I know.
I'm nearly done, nearly approaching a full squad here."
Exactly,
And it'd be like
exactly.
in sub assembly,
But,
but
but
sprayed.
the other larger little thing that I need to sort out is I've stripped all of those
Little thing.
larger little thing, yeah.
Larger.
larger little thing, yeah, larger little thing. Is all the Mordians, that massive box of Mordians that I got at War Boot,
Yeah.
stripping all of those down, which I've done, and then cleaning all the metals, drilling them into the feet, pinning them into bases. So that's a big sort of like cathartic 1 day session just to get them all ready to be painted.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if that's necessarily a loose end because that's a
Well,
fairly new thing to be
I
added
mean,
to
I
your...
think it is a loose end. I've been going on about Mordians for nearly
Since 2023.
yeah,
Yeah,
so,
well, no, yeah, that side of it is
Yeah.
well, yeah, but you've announced you're doing a Mordian's army and also completely
U-turns.
distanced yourself from it already, and now you're doing the Mordians.
Oh, it's but Christmas. It's my Christmas chill project. I always
Okay.
say this.
We said
yeah.
he'd be back.
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
he'd be back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still doing competition
Would it take
stuff.
6 weeks?
No, I'm still doing competition stuff. That's my main thing. But like getting the Mordian army prepped is like a
This is
my-
Christmas chill
Christmas
project.
chill project.
Here we are in January 2025.
Yeah, I'm still just wrapping up the Death Guard model, which, again, I got to like a point where I was just like done having my fun with it and sort of left it. But now it's just sort of sat on my desk looking sad because it could be a finished model. It's not. And then just a couple of other things kind of in that vein. Got Blood Angel Squad that's not nearly finished, but I could do with finishing because it's just been around for so long. Let's tie those up, I think, before we move on.
I think just pump the brakes on the Blood Angel Squad. Just do some other stuff, I think.
Get that Lord of the Rings box, that game done. You said you could, we want the challenge.
You could do that in a weekend.
You can bring life back into that game.
I think we need to. Never gonna let you forget declaring it a dead game.
No, that's fine. I never declared it a dead game. I said it felt like a dying system.
Yeah, the comments on that episode do sort of say something different to that, George.
Yeah. Okay, so the main topic for this week is, of course, how you can set painting goals for 2025. Something I think is good to do at the start of every year. We've spoken about New Year's resolutions before. Your opinions on that may vary, but I think hobby goals is an important thing to do, generally speaking, if you want to improve or just change something about the hobby, enjoy it more, get more stuff done, whatever your objective is. But I think, the New Year's a nice time to start. No time like the present, and it is the New Year. So might as well jump on the bandwagon, right?
Yeah. I think as well, we're hesitant to call them like New Year's resolutions and things like that. But even if you disagree with that sort of thing, like for example, when people, even on a lower scale, when people like want to start something, they're like, "Oh, I'll do it on Monday."
Yeah,
like I start on Monday.
It's very similar.
You're more likely to put these things into play if you give yourself this kind of universal understood beginning. So if it's like, oh yeah, I'll do it after Christmas, I'll do it, and I'll start in the new year, or I'll start on Monday, or whatever. So even if it's not a New Year's resolution, it's a good starting point, isn't it?
Yeah. So I did a little bit of digging before coming into this episode, because we did this for 2024 as well, and obviously that was a whole year ago, just over. I think it was in December, and I listened back to see what our goals for the year were. To see how faithful we had been.
I
to
imagine
them.
they were all very reasonable, and
they always are, aren't they?
They were probably all hit by all three of us. I think
the goals were reasonable.
I reckon we undershot it, if anything, and I reckon we've
James especially.
Yeah,
I reckon all three of us have completely overachieved. If I know us three, and I do, I think we've completely overachieved what we said we were going to do.
I'm gonna go through this one by one, right, for each of us. James.
Oh, I like the way I'm getting stitched up right away. Okay, great.
James, your hobby goal for 2024 was to... You had several. James just kept going.
Yeah.
I think you got in the flow of listing things you just want to do.
I'm going to say this now before you say another word. I have learnt my lesson, and this year's goals are way more reserved. Let's go that way.
I don't think you should learn your lesson. I want you to get more.
No, because I'll be getting it next year in January.
More and more every year. I want you to just stack them up.
Do you have, because obviously we've been having a lot of conversations throughout the year, and goals drift and other things are coming on. So do you remember?
Drift? It's like a deer on ice.
Do you have any inkling or recollection as to what James set for his goal?
I remember, unfortunately.
I just remember it was like... I do vaguely remember. I don't remember the specific things, but I do remember, like you were saying, it was like this one, and also I want to do this one, and also this, and also this. I remember it going on and on.
It got worse for you as I listened on, James, because it started off quite reasonable, and then you just started piling on just massive accomplishments.
I'm aware.
Right.
I know.
So you said you wanted to paint a unit of Blood Angels every single month because you wanted to do a whole Primaris Blood Angels army, and your goal for that was to do a unit every month.
I did say Imperialis, didn't I?
You did not. No. You said
Primaris, unfortunately.
I heard Imperialis. Sorry,
you also said you wanted to do a whole Steel Legion army, and you wanted to do several Golden Demon entries.
Right. Well,
let's tackle these one at a time. Then. So
hang on. Let's start with the thing out of those things that I did actually do.
No. Let's tackle them one at a time in the order. So the Blood Angels. So 1 unit of Blood Angels per month
Dinner.
for the year.
I'm going to
0 units total?
0 units. Yeah. Well, no, technically, Lamarty's himself is a unit.
Kind of, yeah. He's a character, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's 1.
That's 1. So
1 out of 12.
1 out of 12.
Oh, you've done the apothecary.
Oh, I did. That's 2.
2
Yeah.
out
Cheers,
of 12.
George. Yeah.
2 out of 12.
Yeah.
2 out of
That's
12.
2 out of 12. So I've got 10 months
When was
worth.
the captain? Was that the year before? The jump captain.
Oh no, the jump captain was.
That would have been this year.
That would
as
have been.
well.
Was that this year?
Strike Force Justian as well.
Was that this? Was that?
Yeah.
Do you know? Was
I
that?
think it was
Was that on 23?
That was 24, I think. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
No idea.
No, I thought that.
Between 3 or 4 characters
Yeah.
painted, whether you want to consider those units is up to you. I think on a technicality, he's got a point.
They are a unit.
He's got a point. They are a unit each.
Yeah.
But
I'd say 3 to 4. I think
yeah.
a third of the year is not too bad, especially
yeah.
with how busy I am. And stuff,
Obviously,
so.
as the pro gamer on the podcast, I can confirm. I'll let him consider that they're a unit.
units, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. A third of the year. I'm quite. I thought when you started laying me up for a grilling, I thought I was going to
Oh,
be.
don't worry,
like,
it's coming. It's
Yeah.
coming.
No,
We're building up.
It gets complicated because they can be on their own, but they also lead a unit.
Yeah.
So you would
But they
then
are a
argue they
unit-
potentially
they are
need
a
a unit
unit.
with them.
No, but they are a unit themselves as well. They are a unit of the army. So I'm gonna fight that fight all day long.
okay.
Yeah, that's fair. Best case scenario then, 4 out of 12.
Yeah.
How did the Steel Legion army go, James?
Well, I bought the models.
It didn't. Oh, it did. You bought the models.
I've got the models. Yeah, I bought the models.
What models did you buy for the Steel Legion army?
A lot.
Can we get a categoric list?
I will get a photo.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
George loves it when we do that.
Yeah.
I think you love it when I do that.
I love
you get
it.
very
Yeah,
excited
I
about
do
it.
love it, yeah. 'Cause I know that.
So
I just pictured George editing and listening and forgetting that it happened. And you go, oh, God, I got to do
That is
another one.
exactly how it
Yeah.
unfolds.
Yeah.
I'm mid-editing.
I enjoy that.
I'm editing at like 2.5 times speed. I'm in the flow. And then I'm like, oh, Anna. And then I've got to rewind. And then I've got to text you for the photo that you inevitably didn't send me.
I will send you the photo this time. Yeah, so I kind of like just changed team basically. I went Mordians.
So yeah, that's interesting. The Mordians weren't mentioned at all.
No
So-
mention of Mordians.
so the
he was
Mordians-
inspired by
No,
Adam's
I know what
Steel Legion
so
army.
I was, yeah. Adam's Steel Legion is like a beautiful Steel Legion army, like really, really great.
We've got a picture.
You know. And and
I don't know if we do have a picture.
and what it was that like I wanted to do something. I saw it and I was like, well, that looks so good. Like I don't really want to do them now because I thought, well, they're really, really good. I don't want to have a second one in the studio. In the army. And also, I'm just always going to be comparing against Adams, and Adams is phenomenal.
Do you know what? I do understand that, and I think that's something that isn't spoken about a lot within Warhammer, but also within any kind of hobby that revolves around a group to some extent, or like a community, where it's like when you start playing with a group of friends, for example, you're like, okay, well, he's already doing Space Wolves, so I really like Space Wolves, but I can't do Space Wolves.
Exactly,
so he's doing them, so I'll pick something else. And that can dictate your personal choices on what you do as
100%.
well. Sometimes it lines up perfectly. Like with the group that I started gaming with currently, everyone just like loves completely different armies. So like I'm the only person, maybe bar one, who has like Space Marines, and even that's not his main army. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So that was lucky. But like that is such a thing.
Of course,
like,
I think it definitely is a thing. But the other thing as well is from research, I've always, as I said, I've always loved Mordian Iron Guards, and they were like literally the first guard model I ever painted. So I thought, well, I clearly picked, obviously Steel Legion weren't around in those days, but like I clearly picked them because I liked them. So I was like, and also from research, I have not seen a completely original color scheme, as in with the Mordian blue scheme, a full army of it with all the tanks in the right color scheme. I've not seen one ever. Like even like in White Dwarf back in the day, they had like a unit or two or etc. I've never seen one with all the like a full army of them. And because they've got such great uniforms, like the dress uniform, I just think that as an army, it'll look really, really great, like presentable and like with all the same uniforms on and everything, like the way that they are. So yeah, so that's why I pivoted and done a complete 180 on the regiment. I will revisit the Steel Legion at some point because Armageddon is undoubtedly my favourite campaign ever in 40k. So I will revisit the Steel Legion, and now I've got the models, so I kind of am committed. I don't want to sell them either.
Were any of the models, were they all like Steel Legion specific, or were any of them repurposed for the Mordians? Like
No.
tanks and stuff like that?
Some of the well, actually, what I've done is
You already had some Lehman Russes, right?
Yeah. So because I got quite a few tanks.
Yeah.
A few.
Yeah, long-time listeners will remember that
Yeah.
there was a point where James was getting about 4 tanks delivered every episode.
I think the tally that I heard, the last time it was documented, so it could be higher than this.
Yeah.
The last digit I heard was 32.
32 tanks.
I'm not going to confirm or deny the number, but what I will say is that I had enough tanks to part the sea of tanks favourably for both regiments, and that they've both got a decent.
Okay, so you distributed them.
Distributed them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, though, the Mordians, which we'll get onto in a sec, took place of the Steel Legion.
Yeah.
Effectively. So it's not. It's
not as bad as you'd think.
Being honest, when you started reading it out, I thought, oh no, he promised a Mordian army and a Steel Legion army, but one took place of the other.
So it seems that you basically switched colour scheme.
I
pivoted. Yeah,
switched. I still I committed to the project.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you say you committed to it, James. It's funny you should say that. So for those of you who weren't listening to every episode last year, James hopped on the bandwagon of our little
army
challenge
challenge
of armies.
Which I wasn't involved in at all at the start, by the way.
And then promised that he would have the whole army done by June.
Of Mordians.
The whole army done by June, which he did not do. He didn't paint anything. And then later in the year decided to bow out of the challenge entirely because he didn't want to paint his army anymore and he wanted to focus purely on competition painting, to then a few weeks after that saying, oh no, actually I think I will paint the army.
Yeah.
No, I just want to caveat. I did say when I said I wanted to focus on competition that I might use the Mordians as a palette cleanser for my competition projects. So I didn't actually say that I'm going to be. I
don't remember that. However, I do understand the logic.
I did say that
because.
And you can go back and fact check me.
You didn't say you was fully abandoning it. I'm on board. You didn't say you were fully abandoning it.
So I think it does make sense. It just maybe you just wanted to abandon the
pressure, the time sensitive. Yeah, and also I wanted.
Hang on. By the way, you came up with June. No one pressed you to do that.
I don't know
it wasn't like we was going to do June.
I don't know why
you
I
were
said
so
June.
confident that you was going to paint them, but out of nowhere you was like, I bet the house.
Yeah.
They're going to be done by June.
I don't know why I set it in June. I think I did make a joke in one episode where I said June 2025. So yeah, we'll see.
So we're still on track. You could hit it.
I could hit that. I'm not committing to that. Just to be confirmed. But I think on the latter point of the sort of like pledges that I made for 24, I think I've done all right.
So then it was the competition entry.
Yeah. So
what was the competition? It was 4.
He wanted to show up with
3.
several.
Yeah. I said 3, and I did show up with 3 for GD Spiel. I did take 3. So I did that.
So one was ticked. One was ticked off.
Were they all new and original entries?
I mean, that's not important, but at
least one of them was.
One of them was, yeah.
And
is one several?
You weren't painting. You weren't painting in the hotel room, I assume.
No, I wasn't. No hotel painting.
That's growth.
That is growth.
Yeah. And that's improved again consistently across the year following Spiel to the end of the year as well. I went to Monty, didn't take anything that I was painting in the hotel.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's on a hot streak.
Went to
two painting competitions in a row where he's not painting in the hotel.
No, it's more
he's
than
going for the hat trick.
It's 3 because I went to MPO last in 24.
True.
With everything ready to go.
He's on a hot streak.
Hotel painting.
Yeah.
So the days of hotel painting are gone.
Were you painting the day before MPO?
No, I wasn't. I had a week.
Okay.
Because I was. Do you remember I was painting that bus? I'm not going to.
The bus that you didn't finish.
Yeah, the bus that didn't finish.
That's a loose end.
Yeah.
That's a loose end, isn't it?
Yeah. So
just a little one.
I realised that I didn't want to rush it and stopped and then didn't enter it because I didn't want to rush it. So I think that's a vast improvement. Yeah, I think that's a vast improvement.
If we've learned anything from James this year, it doesn't count if you bow out before the finish line.
Yeah.
It's the taking part that counts. Okay, all right, that's the most important
James
thing.
gets like 11.6 miles into the marathon, realizes he doesn't really fancy it, and then quits and goes, "Yeah, but you know,
yeah, I probably got.
I didn't fail at it because I didn't finish it."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As long as you get over the halfway mark or a third, in the case of painting a unit a month, then we're good.
Nice. Do you want to learn how to become a better miniature painter, improve your skills, and have the best looking army on the tabletop? Well, now you can with the Siege Studios Patreon. You'll gain instant access to our catalogue of over 350 easy-to-follow, step-by-step tutorials covering a huge variety of colour schemes, painting styles, and techniques, with everything from beginner-focused foundation tutorials to full character masterclasses. Plus, with the team adding new lessons every single week, you'll never run out of techniques to learn or skills to improve. And if that's not enough, you also get access to our critique clinic, where you can get video feedback from us on your miniatures with advice on how to progress your painting, so you'll always know what to work on next and see improvements as fast as possible. So if you're ready to take the next steps in miniature painting, head to patreon.com/Siege Studios or check the link in this episode's description. Joe, your goals for 2024.
I genuinely-
Do you recall?
I couldn't fully remember, but I do remember it was based around just sort of taking the pressure off, enjoying my painting time a little bit more.
You would be correct.
Yeah.
You said that in 2023, you didn't really paint anything.
Yeah.
And we was doing the podcast and stuff, and it really got you inspired.
Yeah.
So your goal for 2024 was take the pressure off and set reasonable expectations of yourself with no specific goal in mind, but you wanted to focus on enjoying painting more and just painting more in general.
Yeah.
How do you think you did?
I think on a technicality, I smashed that.
What's the technicality?
The technicality is that is a very broad goal to set.
So basically,
And
you
I
made
literally-
no commitments.
I literally painted nothing last year, pretty much. So painting anything this year was going to be an improvement on that. But genuinely, I did enjoy painting more. I haven't painted loads. I haven't really done anything of note until we started obviously talking about the armies, and now I'm actually like really inspired.
You did a couple of the monthly challenges.
Yeah, I did
as
a few of the monthly challenges. I did a couple of like just smaller things, even just for myself, that didn't pan
You had
out.
like the board game minis and stuff.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I did some my Underworld stuff,
Yeah.
I suppose, as well. And I did infinitely enjoy my painting time more than previously.
We can definitely tell that you painted a lot more, because the conversations every week was like, what have you been up to this week? And you had stuff
I
to
actually
say.
had stuff, yeah. And it was, that's definitely been part of it. I will say that, like, I don't know if, again, I've said it before, and how this isn't necessarily like the most relatable thing to talk about or whatever, but like when you work surrounded by it,
it's hard, isn't it? It is hard.
It is harder to be motivated to then go and paint your own stuff, even if you're not actually painting all day. Like for me, I'm talking about models all day. I'm looking at models all day, looking at models that are painted way better than I could paint all day, and like having back and forth and discussing different elements and it's all great. And it's so, obviously we're very privileged to be working in something that we love, but it then impacts. I don't necessarily want to think about it all the time when I go home. Do you know what I mean? So I think naturally, if I was restricting myself to only painting when I'm going to enjoy it, I'm naturally going to be painting less. Because if I'm being honest with myself, I'm not going to enjoy painting all the time. But I think in understanding that and just letting myself feel like that's okay, I did enjoy my painting time way more this year.
That's good.
And I would say it had certain other like life stuff not have happened. I would have probably had more time to paint as well. But there's been so many other things going on in my life where it's like eating into that time, focusing on other stuff, which is fine. Some of them I could not have predicted in the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? So I think I did. I'm happy with how
Actually, I think you did pretty well, actually.
I'm happy with how I did, and I'm ending it on a strong note. I've managed to. What my plan was with the army really was to like just drag the building out long enough so that it can be a new year, new army. That was the plan the whole time.
That was the interesting note going back to listening to that episode was there was no mention of an army. And I don't think you'd have really, I think if I'd asked you at the start of the year, do you think you're doing an army this year? You probably would have said no.
Absolutely not. And I wouldn't have said I would start playing 40k again either. And I have. But like, you're
the pro gamer.
Exactly. To go from like not even wanting to play a game to a pro gamer in a year I think that's pretty good, to be honest. I actually have my 5th or 6th game coming up. So
nice.
When did you get your purple belt?
I don't know. I'll have to talk to Boxy about that. So yeah, I kept mine really reasonable and realistic, and I think I hit it, and I've enjoyed doing so.
Nice.
And now I've got to up the ante a little bit for this year, which we'll get into. But I'm still going to keep it realistic.
I think I'm going to go the opposite way.
Yeah, I think if I could give James any advice, it would just be keep upping your expectations of yourself.
Exponentially.
Make sure there's just
We want to see 2 armies next
almost
Still
too
Legion
much.
and the audience.
Yeah. Just to prove George wrong.
By the way,
If you cut around that, can you cut around that to make it sound like that was his goal?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
No.
Thank you.
please don't. It's not
There
happening.
we go. Yeah, I think I did pretty well. I'm
Nice.
happy. Yeah. What about
Come
you?
on then.
I can't.
Yeah.
Yours. I know you wrote these on the show notes, but I didn't actually read them. So yours was to do with an army.
My favorite
Because
is
that-
my favorite's the last one.
Yours,
Because it's factual and it's self-enclosing, as in it's going to be done in this year.
yeah, yours was army based because that's what sparks the conversation between you and James. So I think yours was do an army, paint an army,
It's a bit
And it
more
was
category
something-
than that. It
and
is
it was something.
paint an army.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That was one of them. And then there was some others. There was probably some other stuff. Again, maybe similar, maybe along the lines of mine of like just enjoying your painting time more and painting for yourself more.
So I actually surprised myself. It's weird going back and listening to old content of you that you don't remember. And
Yeah.
It's you saying words that you don't remember. Very weird experience. So I went back and listened to myself, and I had said that in 2023, due to starting with doing media at Siege, doing the podcast, all that good stuff, I'd like reclaimed some of my hobby time because I was doing commissions prior to that for several years. And that was my full-time gig. So I said, like, I got this all this new time that I needed to work out what to do with. So I said I wanted to spend more personal time on the hobby and having my own projects. And what my main thing was actually, I wanted to do more competition entries, and I wanted to enter Golden Demon with several entries because the year prior I'd only done 2.
Mm-hmm.
And only one of them was actually a new entry. So I'd gone to Golden Demon for the first time, and I said, right, next year I want to go to Golden Demon. I want to rock up with several entries, super planned. I'm going to give myself some slack for this. There wasn't a Golden Demon in the UK.
Yeah.
So that was unfortunately not met.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna not agree with that because
Well,
there's plenty of other
There's other
plenty of
competitions in the
competitions.
UK, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think you were. When are you gonna come to a few of them with me, George?
So I did buy tickets and book a hotel and everything for MPO, but I had a bit of a family emergency around the time, so unfortunately couldn't go.
Yeah.
And then on the latter part of the year, I think I'd just sort of had enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't follow through on that. And not,
I will say,
I'm sorry if I'm getting in the neck for not for switching army and not painting army. You can't get out of that one that easily.
I
The
don't
family
know.
thing, I understand. I mean, that's obvious, okay, right? But there were other competitions.
there were other competitions. I could have done better with that one.
yeah, I think it's a grey area. It is a grey area because
I think I was so because Golden Demon wasn't announced as like not happening. That got me like halfway into the year.
I'm just going to say it as someone who hasn't entered any of them. Golden Demon is obviously the one that will drive more motivation because it's Golden Demon. So if you take that away and the other option is enter other competitions, the excitement might not be quite there. So I do understand.
I think
it.
because we was just kind of left in limbo for so long.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, oh, maybe they'll do one in October, and then like summer came along and no one had said anything. It kind of started to become obvious there wasn't going to be one, and then Spiel happened obviously in October. So kind of like it wasn't at the start of the year. If they'd said at the start of the year there wasn't going to be one, I probably would have picked another one and planned for that and put all my effort into that. But I kind of just didn't know where to go with it.
No, I all jokes aside, I totally get what you mean because I was very privileged and lucky enough to go obviously to Spiel, and it was great and everything. But I was gutted that there wasn't one in the UK. Like I would have loved to have been a Golden Demon in the UK like last year. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously there's Iron Skull coming up in 2025. So I'm
Exactly.
laser focused on that. I'm not even worried about Golden Demon this year. Couldn't care
Yeah.
less. Laser focused on Iron Skull. That staff category, that sweet
So
staff
is that
category.
are you making a pledge then to definitely enter?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
definitely
A new
entering.
entry.
A new
Yeah,
entry.
yeah. I've already got it planned.
Right, listeners and viewers, you are hearing this, okay? He is committed to it. So if it doesn't happen,
I will
George-
be entering Iron Skull staff category 100%.
Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
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 So staff, if you're listening, challenge is on.
Remember the rule. Come on.
Yeah, that's the thing with that. We can't talk about our entries in the staff category. It's
Yeah,
a
It
secret.
makes the setup, once it all set up, it makes the event for the team because you all get to look at
You
each
get to
other's
see everyone
entries.
else's. And also you
discuss it.
can't
So-
like peek other people's stuff while they're doing
Yeah,
it. Like.
yeah. It's good.
So
So what else was there? There must be more.
So what I was coming off the back of my failed Sons of Horus army.
Oh yeah, I remember.
How many
And
models is that?
That was 6.
Okay.
I'm on par.
But this one isn't failed yet.
So I said potentially I might like to start an army, but I wasn't sure.
Oh, okay. So it was like, obviously, because you hadn't actually decided
Exactly.
Blood Angels, Dark Angels. That was all at the beginning of the
That
year.
hadn't
wasn't
even
it?
really started. I
Yeah,
think
that was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, that was right at the beginning of the year. I'd done that test
Okay,
model,
yeah, that
and
makes
there was
sense.
no plan for an army with that. That was kind of, I just want to paint a Blood
You
Angel.
just wanted to paint
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
I think I actually painted the Dark
You
Angel first.
painted
Yeah,
Dark
you
Angel
painted
first,
Dark
but I
Angel
got
first.
excited.
Yeah.
And then
But
you made the wrong
and then
choice.
there was all the reveals and stuff like around Christmas. So I floated the idea of starting an army, but that wasn't like a commitment thing.
Yeah.
And I did start an army,
True.
technically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
I'll give
started
If
an
we're going
army.
to use your unit rule, James, I've got 3 units.
I'll,
Yeah,
give you,
yeah.
I'll give you that.
That's the
fine.
start of an
That's
army.
the start of an army. It's
Yeah.
good. I'll give you that. Yeah. But the thing is when I read the show notes, the term that you use is paint an army.
There's a question mark on the end of that.
Really? Are you
Yeah,
gonna
no,
try
I'm
and
putting it on-
save
I'm
yourself
putting it on screen.
with a question
I'm putting it
mark?
on screen. There was a
That's
question
why-
mark at the end.
It's
That's
more
why-
paint an army. Like, it's more that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paint an army. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. That sort of thing. The shoulders are
I
shrugging when you
can't
say it.
believe he's copping out and getting out of it for a question
Go
mark.
and listen to the episode. Don't believe me. Go
I
and listen.
think, it makes sense because we hadn't even had the discussion
No,
about
that's
him
fair. That is
preferring what one he preferred by then. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So I will say, like, the idea of spending more time on my personal hobby, I do think I was actually really good at this first like 4 or 5 months of the year.
I think
And
you were
that fell
solid.
off
Yeah,
And
a
we
Yeah.
had the monthly painting challenges, and I was getting involved in most of those, and I was really committed. And then I did the thing I shouldn't have done. I started taking on commissions again because I kind of missed it towards like the summer.
that's fair.
Yeah.
And then that kind of rounded out the end of the year was
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
more commissions than I probably planned to, which took away from doing the army stuff, but ultimately did enjoy it. So
Yeah.
it was like a nice 50-50 split. I didn't go all in, but I didn't
Yeah.
half-ass it either. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think you've done great. I think, yeah, like you said, Joe, I think even though we've gone through it and diagnosed it as much as we have, I'm going to agree with you, Joe. I think we absolutely smashed it. I think we absolutely smashed it.
There's that we in there.
I think we
I think
absolutely
we
smashed
smashed
it.
it.
No, excuse me. Excuse me. I think we smashed it.
I think you out of all of us have got more to consider in your goals for this year.
which is why 25, I'm going to be a little bit more reserved.
I think
but
you
I'm
more-
going to
more
double
than us-
down. I'm going to
Hang
double
on.
down on the things that I say.
One thing I do want to point out as well, actually, as we go into this, is that I might have said this last year as well. I'm not sure, but goals should be able to change.
Oh yeah, of
as
course,
well.
100%.
Yeah.
So this is all.
I'd be screwed if that was the
This
case.
is all in like good nature and it's fun and everything. But goals should be flexible. And if things aren't, you shouldn't stick to something just because you set a goal to do it.
and
Like,
it can kind of be a trap as well.
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
it can. Because and the thing is, the moment you get demotivated and demoralised with the project, like you feel that you have to do it, even though you don't want to. And
Not just that, but like if your focus shifts, why would you tie yourself down because of like an obligation for something that you're not actually bothered about anymore? Especially if it's something else you're trying to chase. Do you want to get even more from these podcast episodes? Patreon is the place to get exclusive Paint Perspective content every single week, including extended versions of the podcast featuring bonus segments you won't see anywhere else. Plus, as a member, you'll get exclusive Discord access, including monthly hobby hangouts with us, opportunities to ask your questions on upcoming shows, plus all of our podcast content completely ad-free. To learn more, head to the link in this episode's description or go to patreon.com/Siege Studios. This isn't in my show notes, but I do want to ask just briefly before we get into our 2025 goals.
Mhm.
How do you think you improved as a painter in 2024?
I think managing my time. I think I've improved my time management with regards to painting. Like, then that's been proven by not having to do pre-comp paint sessions in the hotel. Like the model that I picking a model, like when the Martys came out and we got sent that model by GW, I knew that obviously I wanted to paint it, but at the same time I was already thinking I want to paint it so that I can enter it, and I'd put a lot more thought into making sure that I was planning projects, and also as well with the bust as well that I was doing for MPO, because I wanted to do something a bit different. Getting to the point of actually going, no, I'm not going to spend the last week of this up till midnight, 2 a.m. hashing this thing out just so I can enter it. Like, it's not going to, that stress and that lack of sleep and all that's not worth it. And I think that's kind of like what I took away from 24 was that, like, being able to go, actually, I don't need to rush this. There's always another comp, or at the same time, planning the projects, whether it's a comp stuff or whether it's like my diorama or whether it's like the Maldian Army, which I will do, like actually planning it and making sure that it's feasible to achieve it in the time frame, rather than just spending so much time up late and early and in hotels and taking all my painting gear with me. I'm so glad that's left behind in the past now. So yeah, I think that for me, that's the thing that's got better.
Joe?
Yeah. Like I say, I still haven't spent tons of time painting in the grand scheme of things. So I don't think I've probably improved much on like a technical level. I think I've probably just kind of I've probably regressed, if anything. I've probably maintained my skills just by like topping up every now and then and painting something. But I think it's a lot more like mindset based and how I view things and how I like the problem solving stuff, like how I react to things going wrong while I'm painting has been the big improvement, mostly through doing this podcast, to be fair, because like we've said things before where maybe like literally like it can come across sometimes maybe like we all already know the bits of info that each of us are going to reveal. So maybe I'll say something about one of my ethoses behind painting, and you might assume as a listener that you two have already heard that and you already know that of me or whatever. But we've had multiple times on this podcast where one of you two have said something that I've never thought about before. Sometimes I have like an epiphany mid-conversation and I come out with something and I'm like, oh, actually, I really agree with that. So like in having these regular conversations, it's definitely changed the way that I handle certain things. So for example, the biggest one that after a few conversations in here and then also passing that on to the listeners was the just getting past the first hurdle and like actually solving a problem as it happens, rather than just going, oh, it's all gone wrong, I don't want to look at that now, which was my previous reaction a lot of the time. Happened as recently as last week where like I was priming something and I got like dust in it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, a year ago, I probably would have just gone, oh, that model's ruined. So it's like, forget about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, but then instead I was like, okay, no, let's sit down. Let's do some like wet sanding and then re-varnish it or re-prime it and then like varnish it, whatever. And like, I got it solved. It took way longer and it wasted that painting session to a certain extent because I didn't get to do what I wanted to do in that painting session. But I saved the model. Do you know what I mean? And I fixed the issue as it happened rather than just being like, oh, it's all.
That's also kind of like a skill you've learned and practiced.
Exactly.
As well, for the next time.
Just to know that it's even other things. I cleaned my airbrush like properly for the first time in ages. And there's certain issues I was having with my airbrush, and it was like I was sort of convincing myself like, oh, it must be broken or it must be like that's something's not right with it. But it's like I just hadn't cleaned it properly. Do you know what I mean? Like actually spending time to acknowledge these issues and solve them. I think I've improved in that way because there's no way I would have done that a year ago, to be honest. Yeah. What about you?
I think my overall refinement of painting has improved just through nature of having more time on projects and being able to paint stuff for myself without a real deadline means I can kind of just go for as long as I want. But I think specifically like my confidence in my level of painting has improved a lot in the sense of now when I'm going into projects, particularly when painting like the box art style, which is, you know, the style I lean into most, I'm a lot more confident now in deciding I want to do something and not like having to cower out of it because of thinking I wasn't capable of doing it. So for example, early on in my Blood Angels project, I was trying to decide whether to go ahead with doing like glazed shading on all of the armor panels or not. Because at the start of that, it was something I could do just about if I spent like ages and ages and ages on it and messed it up and then tried again and then tried to sort it out. But now through repetition and practicing that and saying like, no, you've done it. If you've ever done one thing before once ever, you're capable of doing it, right?
Yeah.
And I've done glaze shading before. So I can't use that as a crutch and say like, well, I'm not very good at it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You've done it, right? So saying, I'm going to do it for everything. I'm going to do it for all of them. And making that decision and forcing myself to have to practice that and being confident in myself to be able to do it now means that that's just like another part of the process for me. I don't even think about it.
Yeah, it becomes
like,
muscle memory almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like learning that control of shading has carried across to other projects now. So like when I was doing the Bealtan Warlock for Eldar model that we done in the January challenge, the shading on that was like the thing that I was most proud of. And that was kind of like the genesis for trying to move on with that, because that was like the one time that I'd done it really, really nicely. So I used that as kind of my example.
What about your epiphany in 24 of the AK Glaze medium?
Yeah, that was a big help. Yeah, the glaze medium does help.
Yeah.
That's linked in our recommended products below. It's like a Element Games affiliate link. Helps to show there's loads of like cool products down there. That's one of them. But having that like confidence for other projects. And now when I'm tackling other stuff, like the glaze shading is just like as simple to me as a base coat because I've just done it so much.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm going to try and do is maybe pick a new technique in 25. We'll get to those goals obviously in a minute. But and just have more confidence with myself, because like once you've practiced something, you've done it once, then you do it a second time, you do it a third time, it gets easier and easier and easier exponentially. And once you've had the confidence to do that, it makes it a lot easier to pick a new technique to try that on.
Yeah.
Cool.
On that note then, should we get into our goals for 2025?
Yes.
James, I'll kick it across to you. What have you
learned?
learned?
No. Hang on a sec. I went first last time and I got lynched nearly for it. So I'm going to Wimbledon it back to you. I want you to set up your 25 first, George.
Okay.
So let's do that.
Right. Enter a painting competition, aka Iron Skull. I've already said that. That's definitely a big focus for me. It's kind of in the middle of the year. So I've got a nice run up to it. Could be prepared properly. Could spend a lot of time on my entry. I want to also get more done on the Blood Angels, and maybe I think like an overarching goal for the year, perhaps not necessarily with competition stuff, but like other projects, is to try and take a little bit of pressure off myself and just allow myself to not have to do something to the best of my ability every time I paint it. This is something I've spoken about a few times, I guess last year now. It's just this idea that for some reason I think if I don't paint something to my best of my ability, someone might like look at that and think I'm like not as good as I am or something, which is just a stupid, pathetic ego thing.
Yeah.
It's that thing we talk about on Instagram all the time.
Exactly.
Like, literally, it's just like...
Again, like I don't judge other people like that. I don't know why I judge myself like that. So that's something I just want to try and work on, I guess both personally and as a painter. That's my main goals. Like focus on the competition stuff, paint to the best of my ability for that, spend more time on other projects, maybe take a bit of the pressure off, chip away at that army, get some stuff done. Get more done, I think, overall as well. Because I've got a lot of like loose end projects in 2024. It was a lot of like starting different bits and doing random stuff. I want to be a bit more focused, I think. Yeah.
So I as I say, I'm upping it a little bit. I'm upping the ante a little bit because I was very reserved last time, as I should have been at the time, I think. And I've achieved what I set out. So I think I did the right thing at the time. But it wouldn't be fair to the listeners if I didn't at least try and push myself a little bit further. So I'm going to...
Well, that's what the show's all about, Joe.
Yeah. So
give us your paint perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw someone in the Discord, by the way, put like a meme because we'd said it a couple of times. There's that Family Guy bit where it's like, he said the thing.
Yeah. You said it in I think you said it in the Middle Earth episode as well. So I'm kind of splitting it into 3 umbrellas, if you like, 3 little sections where I've got my the kind of mindset goals, which is what I was sort of more heavy on last time. The practical goals in terms of like what I want to commit myself to do. And I got a wild card as well.
Oh, I like a wild card.
Right. Which is a bit of fun.
I like a wild card. Do the wild card last.
Yeah. So mindset wise, where I'm going is I want to focus a little bit more on, I've been doing some like rereading of like some books and stuff that I enjoy. And one of the books that we've mentioned previously a while ago, so I don't know if everyone will have heard us talk about it before, but there's a book called Atomic Habits, which is like a very well-known, renowned self-help book, if you like, which just helps break down what a habit is and how to get into better habits. And ultimately, anything that you want to achieve is down to your habits. So it's used a lot in the fitness circles to get on top of your food and your training and stuff like that. So it's good to refresh. It's extremely sousy if you are listening to it or on an Audible, or if you're reading it. It's so every other paragraph there's a link to the dude's website for a downloadable PDF on something or other. But if you can look past that, there's some really good info in there. And one of the things upon my re-listen that really stuck out to me was, because we talk about goals, this whole episode is about goals, and it actually was I'm paraphrasing, but basically with setting goals and actually objective focused goals can often it's not the best way to progress sometimes, because once the goal is achieved, the progression stops. So for example, short-term goals can be good and things like that, but you need to have something else to move on to, or you need to have a reason to keep progressing. So for example, if I said, I want to paint a squad of this chapter or whatever by the end of February, and then once I got there, I have no reason to keep progressing, when ultimately my overall goal is to just progress as a painter and do more painting and enjoy painting and things like that. So I don't want to put too much on actual physical goals in that way. And the way around that is suggested in the book is when you actually look at someone who wants to become a bodybuilder, or someone who wants to become a train driver, or anything, is actually, rather than an objective focused goal, is to start asking yourself regularly throughout whenever you're doing that thing, what would someone who is good at that thing, for example, at painting, okay, I'm about to sit down, what would a Golden Demon painter be thinking at the moment? Or what would a Golden Demon winning painter do with their time right now? And start trying to emulate those sort of things. And then when you start thinking of yourself as that thing, you then start behaving as someone who is that thing. So I think a lot of the time over this, I've kind of diminished myself in terms of my painting and whether I'm actually a painter or a good painter or whatever. Thank you very much. I'll set you up for that.
Pro gamer and pro painter.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the additional slide is coming 25.
Yeah. So I think all that is to say, I'm going to start kind of, at least in my own mind, think of myself as I am a painter, and I am doing, what would a good painter be doing in these situations? And that's what has helped me start fixing the problems as and when they happen. Because I'm like, realistically, what would a seasoned painter be doing right now? They'd fix the problem, or they'd get to the bottom of it. They wouldn't get stressed out and just chuck the model. Well, some of them would, but most of them wouldn't.
Yeah.
So that's a mindset thing. And I highly recommend the book. It's a really short read. As I say, push past all the salesy stuff. There's some good stuff in there. That's the mindset thing. I'm going to think of myself as a painter as much as I am a gamer.
What's next?
The practical side. Still fairly loose, but I think a realistic thing for me at the minute, I don't see myself getting much more time to paint. I can't pull time out of thin air. So I think it's going to be a similar amount of time that I can allot to painting this year as what I've just had. I think I could have I just want to get a minimum 1,000-point list of my army painted to a standard that I'm happy with.
Good. So
that is my thing. That should be achievable.
1,000 points should be fine.
Yeah, it should be. Like I say, I've got a tank that's like 300 or 400 points or something. No.
Can I ask if that contradicts what you said in the mindset section of like what happens once you achieve that? So say you complete that by June.
I think, so this is what I'm saying. So I don't think it's an either or situation. I think as long as you're doing that first one, then you can do this. You can do the objective based goals as well.
Right. Yeah.
I think the problem that you have is if you only do objective focused goals and you reach the objective, you then the example that gets given a lot within fitness is, for example, I want to hit a certain weight and I want to enter so-and-so competition, weightlifting competition. Once you hit that weight and hit that competition, you then feel the need to almost like reward yourself. I did my goal, so now I get some time I don't have to focus on it as hard or something like that. Whereas I think if I'm locked in on that first mindset thing and I set some smaller objective goals, I think.
So you're going to like, once you complete the 1,000 points, you're going to set a new
I'm going to make sure I move on to something else, because if I'm thinking of myself the way that I should do in that first mindset section, that is what someone who owns a 3,000 point painted army would do. They would move on to the next thing, you know. So I think
this is quite a profound roadmap that you've set for.
This is where I'm at now. This is where I'm at. So that's my kind of that's the way I'm looking at it. And
Come and wild card me.
I want to paint a bust.
Oh my, that's awesome.
That's my wild card.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Have you got a bust in mind or a style in mind?
Like super like realistic style.
Like non-metallics, the works.
Yeah, it's attempting something like that.
Yeah. That's good.
I spoke a little bit with Will, who's on the team, because I know he's like heavy into busts and stuff, and he's given me some links to some places to look and what ones are good for beginners and things like that. There's a couple that I like the look of, but it's working out what realistically is a good one to start with. But I don't know when that'll happen, but it is something that's on the list, if you like. So
nice.
Yeah.
I have not painted a bust in a hot minute. I've got a couple in the drawer.
I've never even touched a bust.
Yeah. Exciting. Like I've said before, painting other stuff as distanced as you can get from what you regularly do is where you will learn the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have the RuneScape stuff as well, which I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, and I've been really enjoying those. So I'm trying to progress through that like campaign on the game. So I'm really kind of I want to at least have like the bosses painted when they come up. So
nice.
That's on there in the back burner as well. But yeah, a bust would be cool.
That's a good shout.
Yeah.
Might join you in that.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll finish mine as well, and we can do a bust.
Bust off.
Bust off. I can't decide if that's inappropriate or not.
No, that's fine.
I don't think it is.
Small bust off.
I don't know if that's inappropriate or not.
If you're a miniature painter, you'll know how important it is to have the right tools for the hobby, but it doesn't matter what brushes or paints you have if you can't see what you're doing in the first place. If you want to improve your painting, contorting yourself under a small, repurposed lamp from around the house, giving yourself a backache and straining your eyes just isn't going to cut it. That's why one of the biggest upgrades I've ever made to my painting setup was my Onyx painting lamp from Native Lighting. Its articulating arm allows me to sit in the perfect painting position for those long hobby sessions, and its super bright 2200 lumen, dimmable LEDs cast soft and diffused light on my models without any harsh shadows. As someone with a very small hobby space, by far my favourite feature is its adjustable mounting clamp, which attaches to the side of my desk, maximising my free workspace. And its daylight colour balance temperature of 6500K gives you the confidence that colours you are painting are accurate and your miniatures will pop on the tabletop. To upgrade your setup to the equipment we rely on here at Siege Studios, head to the link in this episode's description or go to siegestudios.co.uk/shop.
So, I am going to be more reserved this year.
You two are on opposite ends.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah. I'm going to be. Yeah.
Can we at least get like, you can do your reserved ones and they can be your actual ones. Could we at least get like a version of what would have been your normal ones had last year gone to plan?
Oh no, I'm totally bluffing. I'm going full beans.
Oh,
year.
thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going full beans.
Right.
I'm going
brilliant.
full beans. Right. So I am going to enter as many comps this year as I can. I really want to, I stick to the thing that I said in late 24 and I just want to enter as many comps. And I've already sorted out going to several already this for 25. So I'm going all in on just the thing that I said I was going to do. I'm sticking to what I said. Planning loads. My diorama's going well ahead of schedule at the minute as well. And I just
easy to be ahead of schedule when you have no schedule.
Well, yeah, as I said, I technically do.
Well, the schedule is whatever the.
Do you know what's crazy, by the way?
Right?
You brought up the diorama. There was mentions of that on that last year's episode, you were saying, I've got this diorama.
This diorama idea has been
Years.
around for ages.
Yeah,
Like,
I've wanted to do it.
has
I've
been around
always,
for ages,
yeah. This is the thing. It's
He'd started it.
It's one of
I know
those.
he'd started it.
It's
yeah,
one of
but
those.
started it was you had the thing and you had the scenery on
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
didn't
like the
you?
MDF board
yeah,
and
that
the
was-
scenery.
and then it was just there. Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
like that was on the cards before I even worked.
Yeah, it
I know.
was.
Like it's literally something that's been on the cards for quite a while, and like
There's another little diorama. I don't want to give it away, but there's another little diorama that you kind of started a while ago that I was kind of excited to see that never happened.
yeah, I know. There's a
The
few.
little single model one.
Yeah, there's on my list that I always fill out on the plane on my little notes thing. There's quite a few things on there, but
Yeah.
like I am going to try and tick off as many of those as possible this year.
So what is the first comp of the year for
Salute.
you? Salute.
That's the first
So-
one. I don't know at this point whether I'm going to go to Adepticon in the States or not. I would love to go to Golden Demon again. Went to Adepticon in 2019 when we had a stand at Adepticon as a company. Golden Demon wasn't there then, but
And we also don't really know what the score is going to be with Golden Demon in
the UK.
Europe, I guess I'll say.
yeah, I would imagine that it would return at Spiel. I would imagine,
But then there's no news
but there's
currently.
no
on the
news
UK one, is
currently.
there?
Again, that's just me guessing. And
Yeah, we don't have insider info on that,
yeah,
by
just,
the way.
just to confirm. Yeah,
Literally, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So that's like my big thing for 25 is like just really just try and tick off all these like things that are on my list for competitions like that I want to get done. So that's that, and obviously just try loads of things that are outside my comfort zone, like I always bang on about. So I said I want to, as I always say, eat the meal that I cook on this show, where I talk about painting outside your
I
painting
don't know if
outside
I've ever
your,
heard that before.
He dropped that one before.
As you
I do
always
quite
say.
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I really
Eat the meal that I cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said he wants to eat the meal that he's cooking. So
Yeah.
like practice what you preach.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah. So like so I
He couldn't say practice what you preach because that's the normal saying that everyone knows. You had to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
it James.
I like to just add in a bit of flair onto
Yeah,
it. But
yeah. No,
But
I like it.
but yeah, so that's really what I want to do is I want to just do as many things that are outside of my comfort zone for competitions. So like for example, Salute, they always have a category which is like a Salute model. So I've got a Salute model, one of the past ones. It's very fitting because it's about the thing I love, which is airplanes. So it's like this World War II, 1940s kid that's holding a toy Spitfire.
I remember this one, yeah.
So yeah, so I'm going to paint that for the Salute category this year. That's a little single. I've been painting loads of metal models recently with all the priests and stuff. So it's kind of fitting that I'm already painting that material and painting models that are like that. So doing this other one kind of works as well. So I'm going to do that. As I said, I don't know whether I'll go to Adepticon or not. I'd love to go. There could be a few things that overlay.
What happens
It's a long
first?
old trip from here, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
What happens first, Adepticon or Salute?
Adepticon, I
first.
believe.
So
yeah.
let's ignore that one for now.
Salute is the first one.
And what's your solid like plan? What entries do you want to take to Salute?
I would love to have the diorama for Salute. I'm not committing to that now just because I've got sculpting and things to do.
I love that we're now aware that in a year we're going to be listening to this.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
measuring
So
it.
I'm yeah, that's where there is a bit of
the
there is-
wording is way more careful.
I know,
this year.
yeah, no, but there are certain things that I will adamantly say that I will get done this year, and that I'm conscious that I am definitely going to do, and I'll finish with that. But yeah, so enter as many comps as I can. Like I want to go to loads in the UK. I'm not going to be entering obviously Iron Skull because we spoke about it on the show quite a few times already. Like I just think that like running the comp, and entering Staff Cat, there's a little bit of clash of interest conflict there. I shouldn't really be entering my own
You're
competition.
not really staff is the thing. You own the company. So it's like
yeah,
a
I
bit
get
different.
that. I get that. Like you know,
And also for like tiebreakers and judging and stuff like that, we need someone impartial.
yeah, I said I'm more than happy to do that. So yeah, so that's basically Iron Skull out of the way. But then around that, like I said, there's MPO, there's Monty, there's Fen, there's obviously like hopefully Demon in Germany in Spiel if that happens. So yeah, there's lots of things that I want to do over 25 comp wise, just to keep pushing my painting and just try and dedicate my time to that, which I've committed to and I've said that I'm going to stick to. The other side of it is that I am going to do the Mordian army, and I'm going to do it.
Whoa, it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
We're back again.
Yeah,
I said this would happen. I said it.
So
Actually, no,
So-
sorry, it's not technically Groundhog Day because he never said Mordian Army in the
I said
last one.
Steel Legion.
It was
yeah.
Steel Legion.
So-
last time.
Roll back the tape, all right?
So-
James went, I'm bowing out the challenge. I went, he'll be back. He'll do it. I
So-
said he'd do it.
So what I'm going to be doing is I plan to be trying to add a new entry. So I'm going to do a few entries and then take those to the first competition of the year, which will be Salute. And then all I'll be doing after that is probably trying to add one entry for the next comp, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So the entries are going to be Mordians.
No. So
no.
he's got his entries, And then, so he's got a stacked amount of entries. Let's say three, whatever.
Three,
Three
whatever. Oh, I
entries
see.
to go to
Right.
Salute.
Yeah.
Then in between Salute and the next competition, he just wants to add one more entry.
So he'll have 4 total for the next competition.
And then the next one, he adds one more.
Yeah.
So it, presumably in the rest of the time there is the more.
So by
Yeah.
the competitions at the end of the year, you'll have a lot of stuff
Yeah.
done.
Basically.
I mean, if you make one of them entries a Mordian thing,
well,
then
that's
you're
what I was
doubling
saying.
up quite well, I would say.
that's very good. That's a very good addition, because what I do want to do, and it is on my list of entries, is I really want to do a Mordian tank. Yeah, it's like a vehicle. I chucked in vehicle at Spiel, like my Heresy Contemptor, and yeah, like I said, it's not really a comp entry. I stuck it on a plinth and done a little bit of work on it, etc. But I really want to enter. Vehicle is a category I've never really entered before, and I love tanks. I literally love tanks loads. So like so painting a Mordian tank as an entry is definitely on the cards. But what I would love to do in 25 is where I was saying earlier, like I've never really seen like a Mordian army in its full regalia, like even from when I was a kid. Like I would love to be able to just basically have a full 1,000 points, 2,000. I don't care about points. I don't play. I'm not the programmer.
I'm telling you now, if you got 32 tanks, you are going way above 1,000, 2,000, 3,000.
Yeah, I'm not going to paint 32 tanks this year, and I'm not going to get 32 tanks painted this year, being frank. But what I do want to do is at least have by the end of 25, and I'm not saying June obviously, but by the end of 25, I want to have a decent amount, leaving it vague at that, but a decent amount of Mordians painted so that I can present something.
An amount that you would look at and go, that's an army.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So 6 models.
Yeah, well, an amount that the average person would look at and go, that's an army.
Yeah. Because as I said, it's a.
In my head, I'm picturing 3 or 4 tanks.
I'm not going to commit.
I'm not going to commit infantry. I'm not going to and a couple of characters.
I'm not going to commit to any predefined numbers. I'm just going to
say. I know. I'm just saying that's what my perception would be. 3 or 4
where
tanks.
Where my commitment is
20 infantry, maybe 30 infantry, couple of characters.
Where my commitment is
what I'm picturing.
Is to competitions and doing the thing that I really want to do, which is improvement painting.
This is on the side.
Yeah, and the Mordians is on the side, and it's just something that ticks over. And if I get to the end of the year and I've got 30 infantry, a couple of commanders, and some tanks, great. If I've only got 30 infantry and a couple of commanders, great. The commitment is to just get to the end of the year and have something.
Have a selection.
Have something, yeah.
Joe, let's make a prediction, because obviously come 6 months from now, this is going to be long gone. So what army do you think James is going to start instead? Because we've had the Blood Angels reveals and it didn't quite suck him away.
It didn't.
So the obvious one is
it didn't tip him over the edge. So I see the problem is he does like Eldar stuff, and there is obviously new Eldar stuff coming. But I think that's character focus. I think he likes the Eldar characters.
That new Warp Spider Phoenix.
Yeah.
Lords.
So I don't think there's any other.
I'm giving that model the side eye because that model is unreal.
I don't think there's any other army in that way that would sway him. It would either be.
I tell you what, it'll have to be.
The Blood Angels does come back, like he fully then gets into the idea of doing a Blood Angels army, and that takes place of it.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing I think that could sway me. But like a lot would need to happen for that to actually.
Can
take
I
effect.
just point one other thing out?
Yes.
You have your own custom chapter of Space Marines that are apparently getting an army that you're doing. So where does this fall in?
That's a very good question, Joe.
I know that's obviously very quick. It's much quicker to paint because we have the Siege Armor spray.
Yes.
Which you can all go and buy. But other than that, there's no time allotted for that currently. So where's that fit?
I kind of see that as the same as the Mordians, as a bit of a palate cleanser.
Just an ongoing.
Yeah, I see that as a little thing that I'm going to. There'll be. I done an update the other day. I just like to put a new picture up. Yeah. So like, I think that's just something that will gradually tick along.
Yeah. As and when.
But I am committed to doing it. I can say that it's something that I obviously I've spent a lot of time invested into creating the characters, the lore, the narrative, like the headcanon, all that stuff. And obviously I've been working with Adrian, doing obviously loads of art and bits and bobs and stuff for it. So like, I definitely still want to continue that. And, but I think that
maybe that's more of a 26.
No, I genuinely mean this. I think as a painter, you need variety is the spice of life. I think you need, lots of things ongoing, especially when you're creative and whatever, even in other industries and other things you do. I think you need variety to then keep restoking the fire of creativity. And I think,
Right, soundbite. And then we cut to 2026. James goes, I think for this year, I need to be more focused. Because I've been so scattered all over the year.
Yeah, no,
I've had all these too many projects on.
That's what I'm saying. My commitment is competitions. And if I get some Mordians and exemplars and some Blood Angels painted along the way, all well,
Blood Angels back in there now,
all well and good.
See?
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. Competitions is key. That's the thing.
That's the focus.
And getting that bust finished so we can all share the busts.
All right. Well, we absolutely smashed our predictions from last year, as we said. We smashed our goals from last year.
Yeah.
Which you was all expecting, obviously. And obviously, we're going to smash this year's goals. So it's now over to you, the listeners, to let us know in the comments, perhaps what your goals for last year were, what you achieved, and what you want to achieve this year. And see if you can smash your goals just like we did.
I want to point something else out as well, which I think we're going to... Are we rounded out on the main topic now? Are we moving on to the next thing?
Yeah.
With the next thing, I think potentially a little bit more commitment from all of us is needed.
I agree.
I'm not committing to doing every single one.
We started strong.
Yeah, I'm not committing to doing every single one by any means, but I am committing that I'm going to at least try harder with this stuff. Because I don't think we anticipated how difficult it would be for us.
Well, January's already done for me. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Joe is, of course, talking about the Siege hobby calendar for the year, the monthly painting challenges. So if you're not aware, in all of 2024, we ran a monthly painting challenge. Every single month, there was a different faction that you had to paint. We featured the entries on the show. That was taking place in the Siege Studios Discord. Link in the description, completely free. This year, of course, we're back with a vengeance. All right, we've got all new, horrendous pun names. All new rules to break and bend. It's going to be good. And we started strong last year, getting in there. And we did start trailing off. So we're coming back. We're coming back strong,
It is difficult. Like I say, it's difficult. We've just explained how we've just kind of spoken about how fitting time into painting and blah, blah, blah. So it can be difficult sometimes. However, it's no real excuse. Like we said, we can do just tiny little parts added onto other models and stuff. So
what I'm going to do, because it's of course January now, I'm going to announce January, but I'm also going to do an overview of the whole year so you can see what's to come in 2025. So again, full details will be in Discord, link in the description. January.
I'm excited.
I just want to point out as well, I just want to point out some of these names are obviously user submitted, but a lot of people, multiple people suggested the same name. Do we have any credits for certain ones?
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
So apology if you come up with one.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know.
We've compiled these. A lot of them were us as well, but we've compiled them from
group effort.
And stuff. Yeah,
it's a group effort.
It's a team effort. Yeah.
Right. So January will be #Katachan Ueri. That'll be anything jungle fighters, any game system.
Camouflage.
If you want to do Katachan,
camouflage
go for it.
as well.
Yeah.
Camo.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Yep. I'm done. I've got a full army. I'm done. I'll just bring one in.
You have to do something new.
I'll add a couple of brushstrokes onto one. Job done.
No, you have to do something new.
Put another tuft on the
Yeah,
base.
exactly. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. Cool. I can do that.
February is February.
We had Nidvember in last year.
So this is, of course, Tyranids. Anything, I guess we'll say Tyrannid-esque.
Gene Stealer
Gene Stealer cults. If you want to do alien xenomorphs, I'll give you a pass. We love the rule bends.
Anything
you can fit into
aliens,
this. Yeah, anything you can fit into that, well, we're excited for. March is, of course, the regular March from a crag.
Can't change it.
We can't change that one. We don't make the rules.
A lot of people,
we don't literally make the rules. It is what it is.
And if you don't like Ultramarines, just put a dead one on a base.
Yeah, a lot of people suggesting Prime March,
which was a good one.
Which was a good one. Good. But we can't dethrone March.
And also, Primarch's expensive models, and not everyone's got one.
True.
Yeah. Want to be fair.
Yeah.
April is AdMech April.
Mm-hmm. Rolls off the tongue when you say it like a normal person. But AdMech April. #AdMech April.
Yeah, so anything space robots.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or mechanical. Yeah.
Mars basing.
Something, like Mechanicum.
I think that's a rule bend and a half.
Didn't someone do a dreadnought and it had the cog on the back of it?
That was the best rule bend ever.
That was genius.
Yeah.
However, we will not be allowing that next year. Someone got there first. You're not allowed to do it again.
May is Maygotkin of Nurgle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything Nurgle?
All I'm going to say is, as we get into some of these ones, you lot wanted more Age of Sigmar, so you're going to have to put up with these names.
I'd say that
I think that's a great name. I like that one.
I think you could do any Nurgle on that one. Doesn't have to be.
James is obviously going to be doing his diorama.
True, I would say any Nurgle.
Yeah, look,
any Nurgle.
I need the help with the diorama.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's definitely
so
any
all of these
Nurgle.
categories. They're broad. If you want to stretch the rules, that's up to your interpretation.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just saying,
Anything Nurgle.
yeah.
I think the next one is probably one of my favourites for the name.
June is, of course, hashtag June Spike Gits.
That's great.
That is good.
That is very good.
So that's going to be anything goblins, grots,
Yeah,
little chaps.
and hopefully some of those new reveals from the other, from a month ago or whatever, are out by then, because some of those models are incredible.
Very true. Very true. July. this will be interesting to see what people do with this. July is hashtag July Deneth Deepkin.
I'm going to say this now. I genuinely think for this one, it can be anything with a water reference.
Anything nautical
Anything
themed.
nautical.
Yeah, anything nautical. Yeah.
Or I'm going to say this because they have a lot of critters on their bases, like little sharks and crabs and things like that. I think
they're still nautical though.
they are, yes, but I think you should get away by doing anything like as a little friend on the base.
Base in chat.
I don't know. It has to be thematic. I'm not
You're
having.
not going to allow
Half-Life.
just a normal Stormcast model with a crab on the base.
No. The he's saying
I'm
like,
saying
oh,
like
you can do a
little-
little dog or something.
No.
Exactly.
No,
yeah,
it's got to be.
doesn't
It's got to
fit.
be.
Doesn't
It's got to be
fit.
fish people.
Yeah, it doesn't
Okay.
fit. It's got to be nautical.
Nautical
It's gotta
or
be
fish people.
If you
okay.
do a Stormcast, it's got a crab on the base, and yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right, it'll look weird, but yeah, you can have it.
You do you. That's fine.
August is hashtag August.
Oh my God. Look,
All the letters are there.
Unfortunately, we already used the perfect Tau one
It's
last year.
hashtag Tau Sept
Ember.
Ember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is already perfect. But more Tau in August, that's fine.
Yeah, we're moving it. We had to shift some of these
Yeah.
around. Some of these factions we done last year, but they were definitely in different months.
Yeah.
September. This was a very, very popular one from the community. It's hashtag Septemplar.
I like
There you
that.
go. Black
I did like
Templars.
that one. Yeah.
I think we'll allow some room for Gothic sort of stuff. However you want to stretch
Just
that.
aesthetically fit in with the Black
Templar
Templars,
theme, yeah.
Oh, Imperial Fists and Crimson Fists and stuff, or no?
I mean, technically, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's a bit
We'll
close.
see.
but
We'll leave that up to your.
See, if you pull it off,
Yeah.
That's down to
rule
you.
bends
That's
are
down
allowed.
to you, listener.
October, a return of a favourite.
Yeah.
Hashtag October.
Yeah.
Can't change
Again, this isn't ours. We can't change it. It's ingrained into the community already, and it's perfect. So
Of course. November, this is a new one. Hashtag Novitiate November.
yes,
Sisters of Battle are getting a look in this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some Sisters of Battle, or anything adjacent. I think if it fits in, it fits in.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sisters of Battle. overall.
Ecclesiarchy, Sisters of Silence.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can paint more priests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priest would work. Yeah.
December, to round out the year, is hashtag Deathcember.
Now I like this one.
There we go.
This one has got some broad scope. I think.
Finish the year with a bang.
Yeah, because I think that you could do, obviously, something from like Age of Sigmar, like a Nagash or something like that, which would fit really nicely. But I think what you could do with it is do a duel and have a duel.
Someone dying.
Like someone dying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a model being destroyed or a tank being blown up.
Can't
or,
wait for the sanguineous memes.
Yeah. It's going to be good. Deathcember. I think the name's great as well.
Gone from the Sanguinala to like a diorama of
Yeah.
Sanguinius.
It's like
dying.
2 years on the trot. It's like, here's Sanguinius, and then the next year, here's Sanguinius, but he's dead.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It's fitting. Still celebrate his death. It's fine. It's not a
Yeah.
problem.
So
But I think that gives you loads of scope to do loads of cool things with it as well. So yeah.
And if you want to phone it in and just put a skull on your base, like
Yeah.
a loser,
That is
go
that is
for it,
that is
yeah.
the ultimate easy rule bend for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of, we had a lot of trouble last year, people keeping track of
Yes.
what was what. So the best thing to do, I assume, is go on Discord.
Yeah.
Can you outline that for everyone?
basically the way it works is we have a channel on Discord specifically for monthly challenges. At the start of every month, I'll lay out the rules and I'll also give you a reminder of what's to come. And then every month we'll be crossing them off, basically.
Yeah.
And you've got the whole month to submit your entries. And then on the first episode of the following month, we will go through them all and then announce the next challenge.
Sounds good.
So we look forward to seeing your entries. Check the link in the description for the Discord. It's also a nice community in there as well. We love chatting, hang out while you paint. You can ask questions. The community as well, like super active on there. If you've got any hobby questions about any products or like a problem you're having, someone will jump straight in there.
Extra points for January if you wear a red bandana and take a photo of yourself with the model.
Why's it got to be red? Camo, if anything.
Catachan, mate. They have red
Camo
bandanas.
banner, surely.
Camo.
Camo bandana.
They have red bandanas.
Well, that's a mistake on their part. They should be camo. Stick out.
Wow.
And just to say as well, don't worry if you submitted in December for last year's monthly challenges. We're having to like pre-record this because of the whole Christmas period and whatnot. We'll be going through all of those next week. Don't you worry. But regardless, you've still got all of January to get started on hashtag Catachanuary. Hashtag is on the screen. All the rules will be in Discord. Link is in the description, as we've said. Nice.
Done.
On that note, it is of course time for Hobby Hacks. This is our weekly tradition on the podcast where we share a hobby hack, a quick tip with you that you can implement into your painting, into your hobby sessions. They're always somewhere between mid and terrible.
Yeah.
But don't worry.
No. There has been a few.
There've been
No,
a
we've
few.
had a few gems.
There've
There's
been
a
a few
few
gems.
genius hobby hacks, I would
Yeah.
say.
Now,
Is that you? Obviously, you're referencing your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of mine have been genius.
how many did you contribute last year, Joe?
Like 3 or something. Is
Okay.
it 3? Did I do 3?
Out of 52 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
3 or 4, maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
The listeners can decide.
Yeah.
Well, what I'll say is what ones have stuck with people. And here we go. As I said before, I like to let my knowledge flow through the episode.
Now, I'm going to say this now. I've heard rumblings of this week's one, and I'm actually quite excited for this one.
I think this might be a genius one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have in unrelated to, don't worry, I'm doing the weave, right? We'll circle back, but entirely unrelated to Warhammer stuff. I've recently decided to join the 21st century. Like, this is that thing, you know, when you're getting older and all of a sudden you're excited about household appliances.
Well, you're nearly 30, so.
Exactly, if you're rounding up. So I recently got an air fryer. I know they're all the rage at the minute.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the show's not becoming cook perspective. Don't worry.
I mean,
Also-
they were all the rage about, I reckon, 4 or 5 years ago.
Exactly. So I recently bought an air fryer, decided to join you all. Awesome, by the way. Get an air fryer.
Yeah.
Last
What one
night,
did you, what one did you get?
I got the Ninja one with the dual,
That's what I've
dual
got.
drawers. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Dual power, so you can do them separate. Yeah.
Yep, separate times, everything. It's got the sync function.
Yeah. Or,
Product
yeah,
review
yeah,
is
yeah.
coming very,
Very
very
good.
soon.
Yeah,
Very
Ninja is not a sponsor, but Ninja, hit us up. We know
Yeah.
you listen every week.
Yeah.
Love a free air fryer.
Yeah. Very good.
So last night, I go to get, you got the little, you know, sometimes you can get, not everyone chooses to do this, but you've got the paper liners that you can put in there to just make cleanup a bit easier.
Yeah.
Right. Sat there making my dinner, get the liner out, I put it in the bottom of the tray. And I look at it and I go, that looks a lot like my wet palette paper that I pre-cut.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I suppose it is just parchment paper, which is what we're always saying on the podcast. But the problem with the parchment paper is that you have to pre-cut all the sheets.
Yeah.
Because the reason most people would like wet palette paper is because it comes pre-cut.
Pre-cut. Yeah.
But we like parchment paper because it's better. But obviously it comes in a big roll and you've got to pre-cut it. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is like the same dimensions and it looks kind of the same. And I went to my hobby drawer, got my pre-cut sheets.
Is this the
parchment paper.
famous hobby drawer?
Yes.
Yeah.
A-B'd them. It's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. So congratulations, everyone. We've solved it. If you want to get pre-cut wet palette paper, go to like whatever cheap dollar store, Poundland, B&M, whatever your shop of choice is. Just get the really cheap air fryer liners, not the brown basket ones, like just the flat ones. Pre-cut wet palette paper. Done. Bosh. Just saved you money and time.
Yeah.
I am so excited by this. I might be going out and buying some this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to have to. I haven't even.
Do you use the liners?
I don't use the liners.
Right, see, there you go.
Because I don't mind. I'm not doing anything messy in the air fryer, so I don't mind a little bit of cleanup. But maybe I'll get the liners to benefit both my air frying experience and my
It's a
wet
2-in-1. It's
Yeah.
a perfect hobby hack.
Yeah.
Buy one, get one free. Instance of value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I can't combat it. I think that might be a genius one. We'll let you know next week, obviously, because we'll give it a go.
We need to
But,
I need to fact test this one.
Yeah.
We'll check it.
So
I'll bring some in. You can see what's up.
yeah. I think. I mean, look,
We'll report back.
the comments will let us know.
Yeah.
Before we've managed to test it.
Like I
I'm
said,
sure.
some of them are like basket shaped and they're
Yeah,
brown
yeah,
paper.
not those.
Not that. Just they're just flat,
Flat
pre-cut
sheets.
sheets of parchment paper in effect. So
That could be a genius one. That could go down as a genius one. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it means
way.
a lot coming from you, Joe.
Yeah.
Great way to start the year.
I haven't tried it yet, but I think that's looking good. To be honest.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm chuffed with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think we'll round out the show there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On a
cool.
high.
On a high. Huge thank you for listening to this week's episode of Paint Perspective. We're going to jump over now to the post show, which is a benefit for our patrons. So if you want to get more Paint Perspective content in your life, completely ad-free, extended episodes that you won't see anywhere else. Check the link in the description to our Patreon. You'll also get all of our awesome PDF tutorials and all that good stuff. And there's plenty of new stuff to come this year with Patreon as well.
Mm-hmm.
More details to be revealed soon. Otherwise, massive thank you, and we'll see you next week. Right, Joe, what's happening with the Dark Angels then? You alluded to a big update before we started the show.
I just ended up looking at some successor chapters of Dark Angels. Metallics would be like quicker.
If this conversation goes where I think it's going, space! Space!